Have you ever felt like frustration controls you more than you control it? Maybe it's a rude comment, an unexpected delay, or someone just not doing what they should be doing. Before you know it, you're irritated, tense, and distracted. But what if I told you that frustration is optional? That it's not the situation, but your reaction to it that determines whether you suffer or stay in control. The Stoics mastered the art of inner peace, even in the face of chaos. They didn't let frustration own them. They turned it into fuel. And today, I'll show you 7 powerful Stoic practices that will help you do the same. By the end of this video, you won't just handle frustration. You'll use it to become stronger, calmer, and unshakable. Let's begin. Number 1. Expect adversity. It's part of life. Life isn't smooth, and frustration often stems from the unrealistic expectation that it should be. You wake up in the morning, already planning your day in your head. A quick workout, a productive work session, and maybe some downtime in the evening. But before you even have your first sip of coffee, something disrupts your plan. Maybe it's a last-minute work crisis, a rude email, or an unexpected delay. Your mind jumps straight to frustration. Why does this always happen? Why can't things just go as planned? The truth is, nothing is guaranteed to go smoothly. In fact, you should expect that it won't. Marcus Aurelius said, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." This is the Stoic way. You don't get frustrated when things go wrong. You absorb them, burn them as fuel, and continue. Imagine a firefighter complaining about the fire being too hot. That would be ridiculous. He signed up for it. He trained for it. Likewise, we should prepare ourselves for life's obstacles as a certainty, not an anomaly. When you adopt this mindset, frustration turns into something different. Instead of feeling like a victim of circumstance, you become an active participant in the challenge. Think about a professional athlete. They train, knowing that their body will be pushed to exhaustion, knowing that injuries and losses are inevitable. They don't get frustrated by the struggle because they've already accepted it as part of the process. You need to do the same in life. Expect that you will face rudeness, setbacks, and disappointments. Anticipate that your patience will be tested. When you wake up, remind yourself, something will go wrong today. Someone will frustrate me, but I am ready. Most frustration isn't caused by the event itself. It's caused by the gap between expectation and reality. If you expect life to be smooth, every bump feels like an injustice. If you expect adversity, nothing truly surprises you. And in that acceptance, you find strength. Number 2, control what you can, accept what you can't. You're stuck in traffic, already late for an important meeting. You grip the steering wheel tighter, cursing under your breath. The driver in front of you is moving too slowly, and every red light feels like a personal attack. The more you fume, the more agitated you become. By the time you arrive, your mind is clouded with frustration, your energy drained. But did any of that anger change the situation? No, it only changed you. Seneca once said, "Fate leads the willing and drags along the reluctant." You can either go with life or be dragged through it, kicking and screaming. The outcome remains the same, but the experience is vastly different. There are 2 kinds of things in life: things you can control and things you can't. The weather, traffic, how other people behave. These are beyond your control. Yet, These are often the things that frustrate us the most. What you do control, however, is your response, and your response determines whether frustration owns you or whether you rise above it. Consider an airline pilot. They can't control turbulence, but they don't panic or shake their fists at the sky when it happens. Instead, they adjust, stay calm, and do what they can. That's what a Stoic does in life. When an obstacle presents itself, they don't react with outrage. They focus on what's within their power. If a colleague sends you a passive-aggressive email, you can't control their attitude, but you can control your response, choosing to address it calmly or choosing to let it go entirely. If your flight gets canceled, you can't change that. But you can control whether you stew in frustration or use the time productively. The choice is always there. The next time you feel frustration creeping in, pause and ask, is this within my control? If the answer is no, let it go. If the answer is yes, take action. But never waste energy resisting what is already outside your hands. Life will lead you. You can either walk willingly or be dragged. The decision is yours. Number 3, reframe frustration as an opportunity. Frustration is a knee-jerk reaction to things not going our way. A delayed flight, a slow internet connection during an important meeting, a rude customer at work. These moments trigger irritation because we see them as obstacles. But what if they weren't obstacles at all? What if they were training? Marcus Aurelius said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." This means frustration doesn't come from the event itself. It comes from the meaning we assign to it. The same delay that frustrates one person might be seen as a gift by another. A missed train that ruins one person's mood might give another a chance to slow down and breathe. Take a long checkout line at the grocery store. One person might huff and check their watch, growing more irritated by the second. Another might take the moment to practice patience, focus on their breathing, or even observe the people around them with curiosity. The situation is the same. The difference is in the mindset. When frustration strikes, don't just react, step back. Ask yourself, what if this isn't a problem? What if this is a test, a lesson, or even an opportunity? Athletes don't get frustrated when their workouts are difficult. They see it as growth. Muscles only strengthen when they face resistance. Your mind works the same way. Every moment of frustration is a chance to develop endurance, patience, and wisdom. The next time you feel irritation rising, experiment with shifting your perspective. See the delay as a chance to slow down. See the criticism as a chance to improve. See the rude person as a lesson in tolerance. This shift won't just reduce frustration, it will turn life's everyday annoyances into a source of strength. Number 4, pause before reacting. Imagine you're in the middle of an important task when someone interrupts you with an unnecessary request. Instantly, you feel irritation bubbling up. Your impulse is to snap back or show your frustration. But if you do, what happens? The tension escalates. The other person reacts defensively. The situation spirals. Now imagine if you took just 3 seconds to pause before responding. In that space, something shifts. The frustration doesn't disappear, but it loses its grip on you. You see the situation more clearly. You choose your response instead of letting your emotions choose for you. Seneca warned, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Most of our frustration isn't about what's actually happening. It's about the story we tell ourselves. Someone cutting us off in traffic isn't just a driver in a hurry. In our minds, they're a selfish idiot who disrespected us. A coworker's careless mistake isn't just an accident. In our minds, it's proof that we have to do everything ourselves. But are these stories true, or are they just reactions? Pausing gives you the space to check your story before you believe it. Picture a martial artist. If they react blindly, they waste energy, flailing at every perceived threat. But if they pause, assess, and respond with precision, they conserve their strength and act effectively. Stoicism is about doing the same in life. So, when you feel that first surge of frustration, try this. Take a breath. Count to 3. Remind yourself that your first reaction is rarely the best one. Then choose. More often than not, you'll find that the need to react fades. Frustration is a test of your control. Every time you pause, instead of snapping, you prove that you own your emotions. They don't own you. Number 5. Lower your expectations of others. You expect your coworker to do their part of the project. You expect your friend to text back. You expect customer service to be helpful, drivers to be courteous, and people in general to be reasonable. But they aren't. They won't be. And every time they fail to meet your expectations, frustration creeps in. Epictetus put it plainly. When someone is properly grounded in life, they shouldn't have to look outside themselves for approval. Most of our frustration with others comes from expecting them to behave a certain way. But people are unpredictable, flawed, and shaped by their own struggles. No one sees the world exactly as you do. The more you expect others to align with your vision of how they should be, the more you set yourself up for disappointment. Think about how much peace you'd gain if you simply stopped expecting others to be different. Imagine you hold a glass of water with an open palm. If someone bumps into you, the glass might shake, but it stays in your hand. Now imagine gripping it tightly. The same bump sends water spilling everywhere. That's what happens when we cling to expectations. We become fragile, easily disturbed by others' actions. Lowering your expectations doesn't mean lowering your standards. It means accepting reality. People will be late. People will be rude. People will misunderstand you. That's just life. When you stop expecting otherwise, these things stop feeling like personal attacks. Instead of thinking they shouldn't act this way, try thinking, of course they acted this way. That's what people do. This simple shift turns frustration into understanding. It makes room for patience, and it frees you from the exhausting habit of being upset by things you can't control. When you stop expecting people to be different, you stop being disappointed, and in that, you find peace. Number 6, focus on duty, not emotion. Imagine you're working on an important project, but things keep going wrong. The client keeps changing their mind. Your team is behind schedule, and every small mistake feels like a personal attack on your patience. The frustration builds. Your mind starts spiraling. Why is this happening? Why does it always have to be this hard? Now, Step back. What if you stripped away the emotion? What if you ignored the frustration, the complaints, and the feeling of unfairness, and just focused on what needed to be done? Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is the key. Most frustration comes from attaching unnecessary emotions to our responsibilities. The work itself isn't frustrating, it's our reaction to it. The obstacles aren't unbearable, it's our resistance that makes them feel that way. The more we focus on how we feel about something, the harder it becomes to do what needs to be done. Think about a surgeon in the middle of a critical operation. If they let frustration or nerves take over, they fail. If they focus only on the procedure, on each movement, each stitch, they succeed. The same applies to everyday life. When you let emotions dictate your response, you lose control. But when you shift your focus back to the task, frustration fades into the background. This doesn't mean you ignore your feelings completely. It means you don't let them lead you. You acknowledge them, but you don't let them drive your actions. If something angers you, don't waste time being angry. Use that energy to fix the issue. If something disappoints you, don't dwell on the feeling. Focus on what can still be done. The moment you make this shift, you become untouchable. External chaos might swirl around you, but internally, you stay steady. You're no longer reacting. You're acting with purpose. The work remains, but the suffering attached to it disappears. Whenever frustration creeps in, ask yourself, am I focusing on the task or on how I feel about it? Then, choose duty over emotion. The task is all that matters. Number 7. Remember the bigger picture. Frustration often happens because we zoom in too close. A single bad moment, a single rude interaction, a single failure. Each one feels massive when it's all we can see. But step back and suddenly everything looks different. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. At first, this sounds morbid, but in reality, it's freeing. Life is short. Most of what frustrates us today won't matter in a year, a month, or even a week. The Stoics understood that remembering death, Memento Mori, was not about fear, but about perspective. Imagine you're stuck in an argument with someone. You're right. They're wrong. And the injustice of it all is driving you mad. Now, imagine that in 5 years, you'll barely remember this conversation. Would you still waste energy on it? If this was your last day on Earth, would you want to spend it this way? Picture an astronaut looking at Earth from space. From that height, the traffic jam that ruined your morning is invisible. The annoying email that threw off your afternoon is meaningless. The things that felt so important shrink down to nothing. That's what Stoicism teaches us, to take the astronaut's view of life. This shift in perspective isn't about ignoring problems. It's about seeing them for what they really are, small moments in a much bigger story. When you remember the vastness of life, the urgency of your frustration disappears. You stop wasting energy on things that won't matter and start focusing on what does. So, the next time you feel frustration building, pause. Ask yourself, will this matter in a year? If not, let it go. If so, handle it calmly without wasting energy on anger. Life is too short for frustration. Focus on what truly deserves your time. Frustration is inevitable, but suffering from it is a choice. The Stoics didn't seek a life free of obstacles. They embraced them as training. The more you expect adversity, control your response, and shift your perspective, the less power frustration has over you. Next time something tests your patience, pause. Ask yourself, am I reacting or am I in control? Because in that moment, you have a choice. You can be dragged by your emotions, or you can lead with reason. If you found this video helpful, please like and share it to spread the wisdom of Stoic philosophy. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss future videos on Stoic living and personal growth. Thank you for watching, and I wish you strength on your journey.